Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are within the last hour of Morning Express, and today we just want to highlight our ecosystem. To be specific, we want to take a look at the Mara River. Studies show that it is drying up, but what is Kenya doing about it? What are the communities around the area doing about it? What does this mean for the ecosystem? The Mara is considered one of the UNESCO's greatest heritage sites, and what are we doing as a nation to do to protect this? Let me introduce my panel this morning for those who are just joining us, who will help us take us through the conversation and understand this. So closer to me, I have Dr. William Ojuang. He's a regional manager for Africa Rift Lake programs under the WWF Kenya. In the middle, I have Honorable Simon Chelugui, the CS of Water and Sanitation. And on my far right, I have Rebecca Sinoi, Director of Forest Operation and Climate Change with Narok County. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. This is something that I must say personally, I did not know as well, being a Kenyan, that one of our greatest environments that we are so proud to call home here, the Mara, is drying up. It is in danger. Rebecca, I'll begin with you. Tell us, take us through this. What exactly is happening to the Mara ecosystem, and why do Kenyans need to be worried about it?
I think, Zenzi, we take cognizance of the drying rivers all over the country, across the country, and it's being brought about by climate change issues. I know there is conservation about it, and it has been discussed entirely in Kenya and in our county. We are cognizant about it, and we should be worried as a country at large, because the Mara River is one of the greatest attraction of the tourists in Kenya and in our county. And I know we have measures that we are taking into conservation of the upstream, which is the Mau. But I know there is effects of climate change, which is being a discussion globally in the entire world. And I know it will take time. But what I know, there is some measures which is being taken by the county and the country at large to conserve the Mau, which is the effects now bringing about the reduction in the waters in the Mara River.
Right. Dr. Ojuang, just help us understand, apart from global warming, which is a very fundamental key that Rebecca has brought up, what else is causing this issue within the Mara ecosystem?
Thank you, Zinzi. For sure, this is a manifestation of what's really going on in the country. And if you look at other rivers, not just the Mara, we are seeing that the best flows are really going down, and mostly during dry season. And this is because of what we're doing in the catchments. That is degradation, really, of the catchments. You find that there's encroachment, for people cutting down trees, for other socioeconomic activities, whether it's for agriculture, whether it's for settlement. And I think that is where we're going wrong.
Right.
Of course, the Mara River has gone low, but probably not at the levels that we witnessed in 2009, which to me was a wake-up call that really we needed to do a little more to ensure that we still have the Mara flowing down and across the boundary into Tanzania.
Forest deforestation, rather. Tell us about that.
Yes, I mean, and again, this is not anything new. We had various campaigns, which was launched by the national government. We had a campaign as an organization, Keep Kenya Breathing, and this was intended to grow trees, really plant trees, and ensure that we nurture them and they grow. And that was because of what we had seen, that really we were losing our tree cover. And that is not just in the rest of the country, but even affecting our main water towers. You know, the Mau is our main water tower, actually the largest water tower that we have in Kenya. But still, these are the issues that we need to take really, really seriously, and I think that's why the national government came up very, very strongly to ensure that we can plant trees, and planting trees in those critical catchments. And that's the only way we can actually ensure that the forest is able to take in some of this water when it rains. These are the natural reservoirs. And if we did that, if we enhanced that, then for sure we'll have water flowing down, maintaining what I'll call best flows, even during dry season.
Right.
So we really need to do a little more riparian land encroachment onto the rivers. I think is a key thing that we have talked about the last couple of weeks. And I think these are the things that we need to do to secure the some of the free-flowing rivers that we still have in Kenya.
All right, before I come to Honorable Chelugui and what his office is doing about it, Rebecca, you're on the ground at Narok County, right? Yes. What is this having on the effect towards the community there?
Towards the community, you see Narok County is an agricultural county, and it's also a pastoralist county. So when you talk about rivers, the water levels going down, it immediately affects the community because of the agriculture activities and even the pastoralists themselves. So it has a great impact on the community. And the Mara River has 5 rivers that goes towards the Mara River. That is, you come from the Narok River, you have the Enapuyupui that comes all the way from the Mau, you have Nyangores River and Amalu River that comes from Bomet side. And this trickle down with activities that are being done by the community upstream. As Dr. Willie has talked about, there is poor agricultural activities. There are people who have planted up to the riparian land, and there are a lot of irrigation that goes ahead in the upstream, which they drain the river, and then the water levels downstream goes down. And this is really affecting the livestock farmers who are at the downstream, and even the crossing of the wildebeest, which is the wonder of the world. And I know it is really affecting, but some measures are being taken.
Do the people around the area know what's happening?
Yes, they know. Wow. We have been creating awareness. As Dr. Willie has talked about the Keep Kenya Breathing, we started that initiative in partnership with the WWF. And we have been creating awareness all through. And you see, this thing has to be taken up by the community also, because you can't say the county can do it. It has to be taken up also by the community, because the activities are being done by the community themselves. Yes.
All right, Honorable Chelugui, what is your department, what is your office doing about this and trying to save the Mara before it's too late?
Oh, thank you very much, Zinzi. The Ministry of Water and Sanitation current mandate is on water and waste management. However, we have a direct relationship with the Environment and Forest, which is a docket of my colleague Keriako Tobiko. So there's a connection. There's a big connection. We are connected with the forest and environment because this is the source of our water. The water towers. They are now 18, there were 14, there are now 88 gazetted water towers. And the relationship we have is considering that this is our source. It would be very, we make serious engagements with the Ministry of Forest and Environment to ensure that these catchment areas, not only in Mau, but the rest of the catchment water towers are protected and secured. As we speak now, through Lake Basin, Lake Victoria Basin Management, we are looking at all the towers and water sources around the Lake Victoria under the commission which is housed under East African Community. And this is the reason why the Council of Ministers of Water in 2012 came up with this, because they realized Mara is a fragile ecosystem. And therefore we needed to have a day to celebrate and remember and also protect, secure, and ensure that we sustain the ecosystem of Mara. This includes the upstream all the way downstream, and this includes conservation. So the day that we're celebrating on Saturday is a step, is the 7th since it began. And what we are looking is much more now. We have seen a lot of issues described by my sister here, activities in the upstream area, the Mau forest, and all the way down to Tanzania. And we cannot overemphasize the importance of this river. This ecosystem supports the biggest farming activities in tea, and even agricultural, as she says, tea farming in Bomet, Nakuru, Narok, and even part of Kericho. And also, it's the only source of water. It is the only water tower that supports that lower zone. So, to us as a ministry, we also source a lot of water for domestic and even agricultural farmers downstream. So even yesterday, you saw we had a big engagement on the Mount Kenya Tower, and it's all about this. So as we're moving forward, we recognize that our population is growing, and there is pressure to abstract, to pump, to use water on the rivers for farming and for domestic use. So as a ministry, our responsibility is to apportion and manage this thing equitably to ensure that there is a minimum basin flow, at the same time support the community. So we must stress and all emphasize on conservation to ensure the river continuously flows.
So apart from working with bodies such as the WWF, perhaps how is your docket working with the people, the local communities, the farmers? Because they are the key people who stay there, they're the ones who farm there. How, and they're the ones who are first and foremost directly affected, apart, yes, from the wildlife and the ecosystem. So how is your department working to empower in terms of even knowledge of the local community?
One of the issues is sensitization and engagement through, as you are aware, water is a default function, and we work with the counties to ensure we sensitize the people. And we must also continuously tell the people that water is not in abundance. So we must use in a sparingly way, and also ensure we conserve. We are working on programs through the Lake Basin, through this MOU that we signed with Tanzania in 2015. We are working on a MOU that we collaborate on use of the water from this Mara River. And as a ministry right now, we are working on projects in Narok. We are putting up dams, we are putting up storage facilities to complement, so that we minimize the obstruction from the rivers. We are now doing a water and sewerage in Narok town, at the same time in Gilgoris, Lolgorian, Bomet, all those areas, so that we store water during the rain season, so that we don't have pressure on pump or use of water from the river.
The MOU you just highlighted, what exactly does, what's in detail?
The MOU is to, considering this river cuts across the two countries, it is a transboundary river, and therefore each country would always want to make economic use of this resource. But if we don't plan and work together, both downstream and upstream will be affected. So as through this MOU, we agree to approach our development jointly. So like now we have Isabania project, which was funded jointly through Lake Basin Commission. They sourced the money through ADP, and Kenya government did implement the project on Keroka and Isabania. On Isabania side, which we are due to launch, it's ready and complete. It's going to supply water to Sirari in Tanzania. And this is, instead of having one project on the other side and another project on this other side, we develop jointly, and the benefits are spread across the two countries.
All right, okay. Yes. So Dr. Ojwang, what can we do, even before, what can we do to save the Mara? Right now we are seeing that the condition that it's in, it's already raised alarms around it. What, if we don't act fast as a nation, as a people, what effect will this have on the ecosystem? We're talking about the animals, we're talking about the people, we're talking about the forest, we're talking about our wildlife. In total, just demystify for us what this could mean if we do not act fast.
Really, the Mara River is extremely important. And as the CS has mentioned, this is a transboundary basin. And we have close to 1.1 million people whose livelihoods will be at stake. And not just in Kenya, that is including those who are living downstream the Mara. Other than that, people eke a living from the River Mara. The livestock, the pastoralists who are living the middle part of the Mara, their livestock actually depend on the waters of the Mara. And if you look at it in terms of GDP, that is contribution to the economy.
Right.
We have close to 300,000 tourists visiting the Mara annually. That is quite a contribution to our economy. And not only that, I mean, if you look at the Mara Basin, leave alone the river itself, which is a lifeline to both Mara Game Reserve as well as Serengeti National Park, the Mau itself, the ecosystems within the Mara Basin, including the Mau. Mau is a source of very many rivers, not just the Mara, but rivers that drain into Nakuru, Lake Nakuru, rivers that drain into Lake Baringo, rivers that actually drain into Lake Victoria. And you know how these are supporting our economies. So really, it will be a huge blow to not just Kenya and Tanzania, but globally. I mean, what we have in the Mara is a global heritage.
Yes, and what does this mean for the animals as well?
This is the lifeline of the wildlife that we have in the Mara as well as Serengeti. Zinzi, you may remember that the Mara and Serengeti probably is having the highest density of the herbivores, the big mammals. Actually, the highest species that is in terms of diversity. So really, if we don't do something about the Mara, those who are here today, this would actually be our legacy. We need to secure this, not just for us, but even for the future generation. And I think it's extremely important, and that's why we have the Mara Day beginning today up to Saturday. And this is to create awareness that really this is a very, very important river. This is a river that we need to ensure that we turn things around. We do certain things differently. And this is an occasion where we create awareness. This is a collective responsibility. We shouldn't leave it, say, to the communities. We shouldn't leave it to the national government. This is a collective responsibility. And this is an event that brings both Kenyans and Tanzanians to take a look at the importance of the Mara, and then agreeing that these are the things that we need to do going forward.
All right.
And we are, as an organization, would be ready and always ready to support the government. We are working very, very closely with the Narok County government, Bomet County government, supporting communities through what is called participatory forest management. Communities who are adjacent to the forest need to work very, very closely with KFS, for instance. We need to support these communities through nature-based enterprises so that they can be able to get some livelihoods, really, and ensuring that we don't really degrade what is so important to us as Kenyans and, of course, as Tanzanians.
CS, what I'm hearing a lot is that not only joint effort, a lot of between Tanzania and Kenya, but between your office and that of WWF, such bodies like WWF, and also working hand in hand with Tobiko, CS Tobiko's office as well. Let's talk about the joint team that will be there. It's that will require a joint effort. How such committees financed?
Through the MOU, each country or each organization bears their own costs. I have a directorate of transboundary waters in my ministry, led by engineer Gladys Wekesa. And they work, other than the Mara, they also work on the Nile Basin and even the rivers that flow from Ethiopia, El Molo River, the Ram River. All these are transboundary waters. We even have joint development programs that we are doing along Uganda and Kenyan border. So these joint committees, technical and also steering committees, are financed individually. Each country bears their own costs. So that's how we deal with it.
Now, given that the Mara is one of the UNESCO's heritage, is it protected under the Universal Outstanding Values?
Yes, we have Serengeti, and also the Serengeti and Mara are protected, and that's why you see a lot of efforts, both from government. You've seen in the recent past government efforts to restore the Mara ecosystem, and as he says, it has a big impact. And even more than that, yesterday we had a very stormy engagement with the leadership of Mount Kenya. And this is going to be a national issue. And it's the way I see, where I sit, this issue of water resource is going to be a big source of conflict, and it requires proper management, and also it needs proper regulation on the use, on the type of use, and even how we dispose even the wastewater and to drain. As you know, my ministry is working very hard together with the African Development Bank. The government of Kenya has borrowed 47 billion shillings to improve on sanitation facilities around the lake basin and even the Mara area, so that as we build dams and increase water supply to our towns, the key towns, our mission is to ensure that all county headquarters and our satellite towns are covered on water and also on sewage.
Right.
So through African Development Bank, we are going to improve sewerage systems in 28 towns. And part of these towns include Kisii, Kericho, Nyamira, Kisumu, Bomet, Narok, all these areas, so that any effluent that comes out of this town is discharged back to the river, but in an acceptable way.
All right, so what are you doing personally as an individual and as the CS to make sure that even when your term comes to an end, the next person who sits at your office can continue with the work that you're doing to save the Mara and make sure that it's where it is?
When the program that I'm running now is a work in progress that was started in 2012, especially on Mara, and government is a going concern. So whatever I do for posterity, and anybody and anyone else who comes after me will also continue the progress that I will have set. The foundation we are laying now will be the basis of the future development and management of the Mara.
All right, Rebecca, your colleagues have talked about the Mara Day. This year we're celebrating the 7th one, if I'm right.
Yes.
And perhaps highlight for us some of the achievements that the Mara Day has been able to do for the past 6 celebrations.
First of all, I would like to say this is the 7th Mara Day celebration, and it has been between Kenya and the Republic of Tanzania, and it is a rotational thing. Every year, like this year, we come to Kenya. Next year, we go to Tanzania, and it has cascaded to some events. Like we create awareness in the Mara Day celebration among all stakeholders. It also gives an opportunity for all actors in the conservation to do exhibitions of what they are doing in the conserving of the Mara. And we have even citizens who have tree nurseries, and they come and exhibit what they are doing to conserve the Mara River. So it also makes them, give them an opportunity to share the ideas of conserving the Mara River.
Right.
And also, it also teaches good agricultural practices, on which best practices to do in agriculture, on those exhibitions that we see on the Mara Day celebration. So it has really brought about the relationship between different actors, between different stakeholders. It has also brought about political partnership between inter-county and between the two countries. Yeah.
So lastly, perhaps for Kenyans who want to be part of this Mara 7-day celebration, give us details. Where will it be held? The date and time, etc.
Okay, the 7th Mara Day celebration will be in Narok County, Kilgoris constituency, at a school called DEB Primary School. And the activity starts from today until Saturday. We'll have some activities on Thursday, sports. We'll have tree planting and cleanup, and the road shows on Friday in the same Kilgoris. And then now the D-Day will be on Saturday. And we really wish to extend a hand to all partners in conservation to come and exhibit the ideas on good practices on conservation.
So it's going to be a busy weekend. You guys have a busy weekend ahead of you. Thank you so much for coming. Rebecca Sonoi, she is the Director of Forest Cooperation Climate Change for Narok County. Dr. William Ojwang, closer to me, the Regional Manager for Africa Rift Lakes Program with WWF Kenya. And of course, at the center, Honorable Simon Chelugui, CS of Water and Sanitation. Right now, I'd like to hand over to my co-host, Michael J. Kitonga. He is on standby with more updates. Michael?
Right, and well,